Welcome back to What's Not Sport. I am your podcasting host, Will O'Connor. We're here for another episode 15. So that's three lots of fives if you didn't know that. So we're back for another. This week's primarily focus will be NRL again, as it is, because that is, I guess, my expertise. A little bit of touch on AFL. I went horrible in my tipping again, which absolutely sucks, but it is what it is. I think it was a bit of upsets in the AFL. That's my thought. If you're wondering what that clapping was at the start, if you can't see the video, I was just doing the Viking clap because we are on the trot. The Raiders, we are now the team that has won the most games in the comp. We haven't had a bye yet. We got another week of footy, round 15s, when we have our first bye. Teams have already had all the teams would have had their first bye by now, and some even their second one, so really looks good for the Raiders as a Raiders fan, so look forward to that. But other than that, I want to talk AFL a little bit, go through my tips last week, just the usual, go for my tips next week. Let's see if I can get better than what I did this week. It was very unfortunate. Then we'll move on to NRL, talk about each game, some key moments, key players, and what's going on in that, and then finish off with our cards as always. Yes, I did work out I've got the wrong cards, best and last edition only. I've got some new cards coming. They're both proper NRL ones, they're limited edition ones. I'm going to go buy the proper ones, and that should last me the season, hopefully. And before we do that, obviously, I want to go through. I've start my own little multi-section. I thought, if I'm doing only 3 try scorers, I better do a try scorer for every single game. So, welcome. And let's listen up to What's Not Sport. So, awful tipping from me this week. Last week, I should say. So, last round in the AFL, we had Lions versus Essendon, Collingwood versus the Hawks, the Suns versus Freo, GWS versus Richmond, the Swans versus the Crows, Melbourne versus St Kilda, and West Coast versus Geelong. I had Brisbane Lions picked, had faith in them, and their dreams of top 4 seems like they're slowly disappearing, because Essendon got the win. The next game, the Hawks, Collingwood, the Hawks, I stay loyal to my team. Fourth on what happened, I don't know. Collingwood got the win there. And I thought the next game, the Gold Coast Suns, they have been the most consistent. They're showing more, they weren't on top of the ladder, but I think they were number 2 last week, and they were showing good consistency. Very good consistency across all team strengths. They couldn't get it done. Freo smacked them up, said hello, goodbye. We're here to play. GWS versus Richmond. Thank goodness I got that tip right. That was the first one I got for the week. So not a very good start. We then had Sydney Swans versus Crows. Thought the Swans would get up, especially being in Sydney, but no. The Crows dominated by 90. Not a good look for the Swans. Not a good look at all. And especially considering they were in the last grand final. So, what's going on there? Questions about coaching. Let's see what comes from that. Then had Melbourne versus St Kilda. The D's got the win there. And then to finish off the week, we finally got another tip right by picking Geelong. They got the win over West Coast. Now, for Hawks fans, sad news, James Sicily has a groin injury, so they're thinking at least 2 weeks off. He's such a key player for the Hawks, one of their best, so quite sad. Let's move on to next round, though. Kicking it off the rounds, we got Bulldogs, Hawks, Adelaide versus Brisbane, North versus GWS, Richmond versus Carlton, Port versus Melbourne, Sydney versus West Coast, and Geelong versus Gold Coast. Obviously, game 1, I got to back my pride and joy, the Hawks. So, staying faithful to them. Adelaide versus Brisbane, I'm tossing up the Crows. It was a tough choice. The Crows beating Sydney wanted me to choose, was trying to make me think I wanted to choose them, but really I just wanted to pick Brisbane, so they've got my tip. I'm backing GWS in the North in that game against North. Richmond versus Carlton. I got a little soft spot for Carlton, so I'm going to back them. They're probably in better form than Richmond. Port versus Melbourne. Oh, well, it was a tricky one, but I'm going to back Melbourne on this one. Sydney versus West Coast. I think Sydney will want to bounce back. And Geelong versus Gold Coast. Geelong versus Gold Coast. I think the Gold Coast Suns will jump back, straight back into it and get the win over Geelong. AFL done. Sorry, that was sharp, quick. If you're an AFL fan, I'm not offended if you leave now. Those are my tips. Let me know what you think. If you're a listener that is very much an AFL supporter and you want to talk about AFL, please reach out to me. Jump on the podcast, because yes, I have fair knowledge in the NRL. I won't say a wealth of knowledge. I've got fair knowledge of NRL and what's going in there, and that's what I enjoy the most. I love NRL. I love talking about it, love watching it, love knowing what's going on about it. That's why this podcast at the moment primarily focuses on NRL. So if there is someone that wants to complement my NRL talking with AFL talking, please put your hand up, because that would be fantastic. But for now, we move on. We're going to go through a bit more depth about what was going on in the week of NRLs. I had a great week of tipping, guys. Only 2 wrong. So if you copied the What's Not Sports tips, you would have been pretty close to the top. Newcastle Knights. I'm not happy with you, though. Or Para. We'll get to that in a second. We kicked off the round with Dragons versus Knights. Man, I tipped the Knights. I was faithful after their win last week. I thought, they're back. This is the start of something new. It wasn't. The Dragons beat them. Quite dominant, actually. So, David Clement dominated the first half. He had 170 metres and made 33 tackles. That's incredible stats for someone that's almost considered a veteran player, especially for the Dragons. We then had the rookie prop, Loco Pacifica. He scored his first NRL try, which is insane. And we're back with Crusher tackle bans. Newcastle's Thompson faces a 5-week suspension over a grade 2 Crusher tackle. Are we going too harsh on the Crusher tackles? They're a tricky one. But do you think that's fair punishment? Yes or no? Let me know. Titans vs Storm. Look, I backed the Storm. I knew it was going to happen. Craig Bellamy was still not happy. Is he ever happy? There was some errors by the Storm, and it was only a 12-point victory, which I thought the Storm would have absolutely kicked it out of the ballpark. But they didn't. They didn't. They did win, but they didn't smash them. Craig Bellamy not happy with the errors. As I said before, it was a bit of an inconsistent performance. In saying that, have we ever seen Craig Bellamy happy? I don't think so. Key contributions of the game was Farlogo and Jerome Hughes, both in key roles. Farlogo being one of the strongest wingers in the game, and Hughes being one of the best halves in the game that we've got at the moment, and he's been so consistent over year after year. Cowboys versus Tigers game. It was an early lead by the Cowboys, and the Tigers started to claw back. Rawr. They weren't good enough, though. The Cowboys, I don't know what sound effect to do for that. They got the win. nearly lost it at one stage. Like, it got level. And yeah, the Tigers scored 4 tries in like 13 minutes or something. Like, that is ridiculous that the Cowboys can dominate the first half by 32 points and then nearly lose the game. Well, at least they didn't do what the Raiders did a few weeks ago against the Bulldogs and lost it. But man, close call. Jerome Luai was sin-binned early in the game, so that would have been a huge impact. Is he the best captain for the Tigers? At the moment, I think yes. But in the near future, should they broaden their search, widen their view? I think so. I don't know if Luai is captain material. He might be full of Tigers. It might be what they need now, but I believe there would be far more better players that could fit into that captain's role. If only Luke Brooks stayed, I would say he would be excellent. So, and not only did like Luai get binned, but so did Adam Dewey. Like, it was a bit of controversial, but it was, yeah, not much you can say. The rules are rules, and at the end of the day, as I said, rules are rules. If you're gonna do something that's gonna get you binned, you should be sent to the bin. Do I always agree with the rules? No. Do you? No. Do the players? No. Some of the rules are stupid. Some of the refs' decisions, the bunkers' decisions are horrendous at the moment. Like, I'm not going to make too many controversial statements at this point of time, but it almost is looking like bias by the bunker. Yeah. Anyway, we can talk about that later on another date. Let's move on to the Eagles versus Broncos. 4 losses in a row. Thank God. Thank goodness I didn't tip the Bronx. Manly. I don't know. What does a seagull make? I don't know. They dominated. It was brutal for Broncos. So I believe that's their 6th loss in 7 games. It's their 4th consecutive loss. Madge is going to have to address a few things. It's a bit concerning because everyone thought Madge turned the Broncos around, and then 6 losses in 7 weeks or something like that is just not ideal. But in hindsight, I guess we can see Reece Walsh back this weekend, this round. Will that play an impact? I still think Reece Walsh has a lot of potential. I think he is a great player in the making. He just needs to not be so much of a pretty boy. He needs to get the hard work done. He needs to stay out of the media. He needs to just keep quiet. And then I think that'll be good for him, which will be good for the Broncos. But on another note, in that game, Nathan Brown scored his first try in 51 games. So, Nathan Brown, great job. Rabbitohs Warriors, a very close game. So the Sunday Rugby League special, Super Sunday they call it, it did not disappoint. All 3 games were nail-biting. I missed out on watching the first 2.5. I was at work, but I watched the highlights, read the stats, and yeah, it was... And then I watched replays. It was pretty close, like great footy. I was watching the scores while I was at work, but yeah, great stuff. So Super Sunday kicked off with the Rabbitohs versus Wars. I tipped the Wars. The Wars got it done. They came back after their loss to the Raiders. But yeah, high scoring win. I believe it was 30-34. Let me check that. It was 30-36 Wires win. So I was off by 2. But yes, a great game. High scoring. Unfortunately, Mitch Barnett has walked away with an ACL injury, and he is expected to be out for the rest of the season. That's not great for New South Wales supporters. We'll touch on that in a moment when we talk about Origin. It's also not great for the Wars. Yeah, such a great player. ACL season done. I feel very sorry for the man. Let's move on to the next game. Panthers versus Eels. Oh, man. They were up at halftime. They took the early lead, 10-6. They couldn't hold it off in the second half. Cleary showing why he is probably the best half. Why he has consistently been the best half in the game over the last 5 years. Helping them to a victory, but I feel like I'm still hung up on the fact, yes, I'm looking at it, and in my mind, well, in my heart, I'm going, okay, Penrith aren't a team to worry about, but every time I see Penrith, I'm going, they're a team to worry about, or they're a super top team, but no, they're struggling against the Eels, and yes, the Eels can be good at points, but statistically, Penrith should be smashing them. It's still just a very weird season. It still feels really fresh. Like we're walking into round 14. We're like halfway through the season. And I'm going, I don't know what the top 8 will be. Other than, 100% I believe the top 4 right now will be in the top 8. But then the rest, I don't know. I'm not sure on that. Next week, we'll do a ladder review that, next week's episode, just a heads up, next week's episode won't come out till Thursday. I'm away on holidays, so sorry for the inconvenience, friends and viewers. I know you guys, I've been a little bit inconsistent the last 3 weeks. I've been posting on different days. After next week, I'm going to set Wednesday mornings going to be my posting days, because team list comes out every Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m, so I'll record the podcast Tuesday night, comes out Wednesday morning, nice and early for you guys to listen to. Sorry, back to the game. That was a little intermission. Yeah, so Penrith got the win over Parramatta. I thought the Eels would do it after their performance last week. They were very dominant, but clearly not. I still don't think Penrith are a threat, and I don't think we'll see them in the top 8. To finish off the round, personally, yes, call it bias. I'm not. It was the best game of the week. It was Roosters versus Raiders. Many controversial calls made by both the ref and the bunker. Missed calls, incorrect calls made. Call them what you want. I was unhappy with a few calls. Some of the calls made by the bunker didn't make sense. For example, Simi Sasagi's disallowed try in the first half. He kicked. He was then held back, so he could not chase and run his teammates on side. Owen Pattie was offside, but he didn't actually impact the play or get in the way of a player or touch the ball. Xavier Coates actually got the ball, ran him on side, but because Owen Pattie was within 10 metres, it's deemed as offside, and impacts the play. Clearly it doesn't. They were trying to rule on something from Savage being offside, and they couldn't. Savage then Savage then passed it to Simi Sasagi, and Simi Sasagi scored. It was disallowed. I was very confused why that was not a professional foul, because Simi Sasagi was held back and denied the ability to run plays on side, but it is what it is. The Raiders end up winning by 4 points. It was a great game. Owen Pattie was incredible, played about 60 minutes. He didn't start, but he came on about halfway through the first half and then played the rest of the game, and he was so dominant. Kicked the 40-20. I've been saying it all season. Owen Pattie, remember the name. He will be in Origin next year, if not making it this season. I love the kid. He is a fantastic footballer. Incredible dummy half. And yeah, he's quick. And that's my next thing. The Raiders did beat the Roosters. Every time the Raiders beat the Roosters, a little bit of my heart heals from 2019. Just a little bit. They didn't want us to win. The bunker tried to rig it. Yet we were still good. We were still too good. But in that, I want to trademark something. We saw the debut of our half, who Canberra Raiders have been planning. We have been planning to come through to replace Jamal Fogarty in the next coming years. Jamal was injured. Well, Jamal pulled out of the game. Unknown to me. I think he was injured or something. But Ethan Sanders, I've spoken about him on the prospects of him in previous episodes, but he finally got a debut. He took a while to get his footing. It took about 10 or 15 minutes. And speaking of that, it was ridiculous. Raiders fans on Facebook saying that he is horrible, he's a deer in the headlights, like he's blind. Mate, the kid's playing his third NRL game and he's playing full 80 minutes. Let him have 15 minutes to settle in and warm up. And he did, and he was great. Had a great pairing with Ethan Strange. And that's where I bring this trademark. ES squared. Ethan Sanders, Ethan Strange. Initials are ES, so ES squared, because there's two. Because like ES times ES equals ES squared. If you do maths, yeah. But yes, I want to talk about that. And then, yes, the Raiders won, so that tips on me. So 5 out of 7. I don't think that's horrible this week, especially with players out, injuries, withdrawals. I'm pretty happy with that. Disappointed that my tipping didn't get 7 out of 7. I had faith. When Newcastle lost it, I was quite disappointed, but it is what it is. And yes. Now, there's a reason why I'm not wearing a Queensland jersey. It's not because I have lost faith in my club. It's just that we had a poor performance. I do show pride in Queensland, but I decided to show pride in my club team rather than my origin team after our, as Ricky would say, weak-gutted dog performance. Where do I start? New South Wales played an excellent game. The halves pairing of Cleary and Moses worked great. Moses took a step back and let Cleary steer the ship. I thought Cleary could have been much better, yes, with his goal kicking included, but they were a dominant force. Payne Haas and Lomax were the standout players for me for New South Wales, and they were just consistent all night. Lomax scoring a double, Payne Haas, line breaks, not line breaks, tackle bust, one would say, offloads, just hit-ups, consistency from him all game, so I was really impressed by that, especially in New South Wales. Queensland needs a restructure after that. I was really happy with the performance of Toa. He held his own ground against Latrell Mitchell. I was also really, really happy with the performance of Nanai and Coates. They were both really good, especially Nanai. He was a standout player for Queensland, even though we lost. It is what it is. Like, we go to game 2, we look forward to that. Queensland's going to have to restructure. I'll touch on that. I'm going to go through my 13 and what I think. It's got a little few biased picks, but I think they are very deserving of it. They've played so well this season, and we'll get to that in a second, but there needs to be tweaks made for improvement for Queensland, because that was just a shocking performance. And like to see, we would have been by another 8 points if Cleary and Lomax could kick a goal, but we got lucky there, so the loss didn't look too bad, even though it kind of was. In that, there is some controversy within the players, especially revolving around Spencer Leniu. He was, one might say upset, one might say furious. He was enraged about the fact that Queensland would not kick to him. And I get it. I get why Queensland wouldn't kick to him, because Pax Spencer is a scary man. But it's also, I feel like it's showing weakness, and that's something Queensland never used to show. They would make the tough decisions, and it was interesting. I think Matty John said it the best. He said something like, the best decision isn't always the right decision, or the other way around, the right decision isn't always the best decision. So not kicking to Spencer Leniu will give him the confidence, oh, yep, they're scared of me. I can walk all over them, things like that, which it almost seems like he can now. But then you look at, it's just like, they should have been kicking to him to make a statement. Yes, I understand it's smart going to the other side, but it shows a bit of weakness. And Cam Smith touched on it, and he said the teams that he was a part of, yes, they were in a different period of time. They were dominant for 8 years, getting 8 in a row, and dominance over for more than a decade. He said, yes, we would have kicked to Spencer Leniu because he's a big one, and we wanted to show that we can take him on. And I thought that was very interesting. Now, for New South Wales fans, Barnett is out with an ACL injury. With that, could we see Terrell May come into play? As a fan of footy, I'd love to see him playing Origin level. He deserves it. But after the controversy he had, which we touched on last week and the week before, I don't think he will get picked, which is a bit disappointing. Obviously, Blues coaching is they take everything to heart, and I'm sure what he said, they still won't probably forgive him. Maybe not ever. We might not ever see him in a Blues jersey after that. He might have been blacklisted from the Blues, but I think as a fan of the game, I would love to see him play. It's scary for it would be scary to see that happen. Him in a Blues jersey. Yeah. Now, for Queenslanders, there has been some talks of pulling someone out of retirement. My favourite player. He, an absolute legend of Origin, a legend of the game in my opinion. Josh Papali'i, Big Papa. We may see him in Queensland again. A few professionals, a few in the media, a few journalists, commentators, they're all saying, and experts are saying they should call up a veteran prop who is still playing the game well to help them boost. And they said Josh Papali'i is the one they should be calling. Billy should be making a phone call to him. And honestly, as a Raiders fan, I'm going, don't take him away from us. Don't let him get injured. Like, he is about to reach a milestone, which I'll touch on in a second. Like, I want to see how further he goes, and if he gets injured in Origin, I want to see Big Papa get 350 games, and if he stays uninjured and fit and he goes another season, it's very well achievable for him. So, but as a Queenslander and as a fan of Papa, seeing him in that maroon jumper and that maroon jersey is the best feeling ever. Seeing him have that number 8 on his back, it is the best thing ever. So, I've had an inter-conflict with myself, I guess one would say, and I've come up with the decision. Put Papa on. Put Big Papa on. Let him play footy, is what I say. Take that how you... Yeah. Yes, he is old, but he's a veteran. He was there for so many of those wins in that primo time of Queensland, and he could just be that different edge. Well, different prop, but it could be the edge that they need for Queensland. Now, we're going to have a bit of glazing session of the Raiders. I've been getting reports that I do glaze the Raiders. Yes, I am biased to them. They are my favourite team. They are my club. Through and through, Raiders. We bleed green. So, the Raiders are now sitting second on the ladder. Well, after last week they were, but after this week they still are second on the ladder. They are the only team to not have a bye yet, which is incredible. So they have gone 13 rounds straight. They haven't had, and they're about to go 14 rounds straight playing this weekend. They've travelled to Vegas. They've travelled to New Zealand. I think they're one of the clubs that's done the most travelling, if not the most. And to not have a bye yet, it's really going to play an impact on the players. But they need to get the win this week, and then they get a bye, and it's 3 byes in the back half of the season. I think that's really handy. That's 6 guaranteed points. They're already on 20. We know what form they're in. They're in great form, and it's just great to see. Now, and yeah, they've got the most wins out of any club in the comp. Like, yes, as I said, the Doggies are on top of the ladder, but they've already had 2 byes now, and they're only beating the Raiders by 2 points. So you take away 4 points, you take away the byes, they've only won 9 games, but the Raiders have won 10. So, or is it 11? I think it's 11, and the Doggies have only won 10, something like that. I think it's 24-22 or 22-20, blah, 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 whatever. You understand my point. I touched on this earlier. Owen Pattie filled in perfectly for Tom Starling. I think we see him start next week with Starling still out. We see him do a full 80 minutes, which I'm really excited to see. He's a fantastic player, and I just want to see more plays for him. We touched on ES squared. I'm really excited to see what combinations that brings in the future, but Jamal has been named to come back to the Raiders this week, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for ES squared. I believe next season will be it. And I'd like to make a PSA about Kyo Weeks. I would like to apologise. I should have remained faithful in my fantasy team. Kyo Weeks, I dropped you about after round 5. I really should have kept you, mate. I apologise. Please don't take offence to that, Kyo. It was just me being dumb. But yeah, please accept my apology. Okay, enough of the Raiders. There's never enough of the Raiders. Lockie Galvin, we talked about him last week, the week before. He has been very controversial. Last week he was clipped at a Bulldogs training before it got announced. Not a good look. Not a good look. He's actually set to play for reserves this week for the Doggies, so he's not getting a start as the team list says. I don't know if we will see him or not. Is it mind games? Will he play? I don't know. But at this point, Lockie Galvin is set not to play, and he's set to play reserves. For the Bronx, we see Reece Walsh back. His name's as starting fullback. It'll be very interesting to see how he goes after having that knee injury. He hasn't played since round 7, so I'm looking forward to seeing him because he is a very talented player. I would love to see what he can do. As I said earlier, I think he needs to, he's a young player, but I think he needs to screw his head on a bit and just understand that he is, yes, because he's such a valuable and high product player, he's going to have cameras on him all the time and media criticizing him. So I think the best for him is just to keep quiet, head down, and that will help him, and that will help the Broncos. So, but yes, I think it'll be good having him back. Let Cobbo come back to the wing. Could be really dangerous there. And so, I think that'll be very good. As I said, we've got some ins back in. So Walsh obviously coming back this week for the Bronx. Ponga's back for the Knights. Harry Grant back for the Storm. Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. They'll need his help against the Raiders. The Raiders will still pump him. Gerbo's back for the Eagles Sea Eagles, and Jamal Fogarty's back for the Raiders. Now that's round 14 teams type thing. Now, we touched on this last week about the Perth Bears, how there was a few coaches in the running, and Mal Meninga was one of them. Now it is expected that Mal Meninga will be the head coach of the Perth Bears. So, the very, very exciting news. It's not officially announced, but that's just what is, at the moment, is expected with all the media around it. I'm still not 100% sure because that means he'll be giving up his role as kind of like a mentor and a recruiter for the Raiders as well as head coach of the Kangaroos, which is a big thing to give up because he's had so much success there. So I think that's very interesting, but I do think we'll see him heading over to Perth and recruiting a very strong and great team. Now, on that note of him not being the Kangaroos coach, there has been many talks about Cameron Smith taking on the role of being the Kangaroos head coach. This is very interesting, and there was a bit of a debate I saw earlier in the week. Is it too early for Cam Smith to shift into a coaching role? Will players still see him as a player or as a teammate and just a friend, or will it just have that respect? I don't think if he gets selected that will be a problem. We saw it with Billy and the Maroons. It wasn't a problem when he became the coach. It was actually really good for the team. So I think we could see the same thing with Cameron Smith. That's up to you to debate. Now, my last point before I go on to my tips for the week. Big Papa, Josh Papali'i. The Raiders number 8, the Raiders prop, the one club man, the Origin legend, the international legend of rugby league. This weekend, he will become the most capped Raiders player. He overtakes Jason last round, he tied with Jason Croker's record for games played for the Raiders, and this week he will take the record at 319. That is incredible, especially from a prop. I touched on this earlier that I want to see him have 350 games, and I'm worried if he plays Origin he might get injured. I think he's smarter than that, and I think if he does play Origin, he won't get injured. I would really love to see him finish this season, win a grand final, and then do it all over again next season and get possibly an untouched record of 350. He's been my favourite player since forever. My favourite number was 8 because of him. It was my lucky number because of Josh Papali'i. I played rugby union as a child, and it was funny because I wanted to be like him, and so I was a prop in rugby union, and I kind of felt that connection to Josh Papali'i, so I always used to wear number 8, and yeah, it's pretty cool, like seeing him still play from me being a kid when I was like, gosh, he's been there so long, just as long as I can remember it, and I'm now 18 and I'm going, he's been my favourite player forever, and now I am seeing him break a record that might not ever be touched again at the Raiders. Like, I can't see anyone touching that record. Like, so many people thought no one would get Jason Croker's record, and now Big Pups is doing it. Big Papa, and it's just incredible. And if he keeps on going on, that record's just going to be harder and harder to beat. So I take my hat off to that man, to that legend. And yes, I have idolized him. My favourite number is 8 because of him. I went as him for book week one year and when I was in primary school. So, Big Papali'i, it's going to be a special weekend for you. The Raiders, I know, will get it done this season for you, get the win for you, and make you proud to be a one club Raiders man. Sorry if I got a bit emotional on that. Just love Papa. Let's do this. My tips for this week. So Thursday night, we've got Knights vs Manly. Friday, we got Storm vs Cowboys. Dolphins vs Dragons. Saturday, Sharks vs Warriors. And Broncos vs Titans. Sunday, we have the Raiders vs Rabbitohs. And then have Tigers and Panthers to finish off Sunday. And then on Monday, we get a special treat. Monday night footy. Well, Monday afternoon footy. We have the traditional, I believe it's called the King's Birthday now. Is that right? Yeah, King's Birthday clash. It's the Bulldogs versus Eels. So for my tipping, Manly will beat the Knights. Storm will beat the Cowboys. The Dolphins, fins up, will beat the Dragons. The Warriors will get over the Sharks. The Broncos will finally break their losing streak and beat the Titans, because the Titans have not been very good this season. Of course, my boys, the Milk will get it done, not just for them, but for Josh, Papali'i, and Tigers will get the win over Penrith. As I said, the Tigers as a team, they are doing better than they have in previous years, and Penrith are going horrible. Everyone's got that thought, nah, Penrith won't lose to the Tigers, but the Tigers have been better this season. I'm going to back them to beat Penrith. And to finish off the week, I'm picking off the Doggies to beat the Eels. So, good luck to all you tippers. I will let you know how I go next week. Now, we talked about Queensland earlier, and I said I'll give you my team for game 2. Let's do it. Fullback, I got Hammer. Wingers, I've got Coates and Taulagi. In our centres, we keep Toller at 3 and 4. I believe in Selwyn Cobbo coming into the centres. I got given this idea by a good mate of mine. He mentioned it. He said he wanted to see it. And then I said, who would he pair with? And he said Taulagi. And I went, oh my gosh, that is great. So, Cobbo is one of our centres. Our halves, Munster and Jamal Fogarty. He has been the most consistent half this season. Every single game you have got what you expected from him, where every other half, in my opinion, you haven't always got what you expected with him in that game. With the rumours of Josh Papali'i coming back, if they're true, I'm putting him in that number 8 jersey as our prop. Hook up Grant, other prop Tino Fasamalawi, our second rowers, Fafita, bring him in. He's always so consistent when it comes to Origin. I know he hasn't played Origin for almost 2 years now, and I know he's not showing the best form at the Titans, but he can step up for that game, and we just need someone who we know we can get good results, and we need a pure second rower. And I think he really fits that in. And then we have Nanai. He was our best player in game 1. So obviously keep him. And then we have Carrigan at lock. Now, our bench. I've got Ponga to potentially sub on, potentially in the halves, or I would say in a winger or fullback position. I then have Horsburgh, Corey Horsburgh from the Raiders, he's just sub on for the forwards. He is just an incredible redhead. He's made for Origin in my opinion. You see someone like him, he gets emotional, he gets aggressive. He's got that Queensland spirit, and we saw it when he played for Queensland in previous years. So I think he's ready to come back and put him on. I then think we have Dearden on the bench again, so he can either sub on into that hooker role for Grant, or he can play in that halves, see what happens, sub on for Jamal, sub on for Munster. I think the biggest thing is we got to give Munster, we need someone with a really good kicking game. And yes, DCE does, but Munster was getting his hands on the ball too much kick last game. Munster's a great half to run with the ball and create space and work some magic. And you need to be able to rely on someone with their kicking game. Yes, obviously, he's a great kicker, but I feel like Munster's deadlier running with the ball, if that makes sense. So that's why I put Jamal in. But yeah, sorry, and then keep FEMA on the bench. And then for one that I've already put 3 Raiders in the squad, but for our extended 20, I really think Owen Pattie, especially showing what he could do in the 60 minutes on the weekend, and this weekend we'll see him. I certainly hope for 80 minutes of him. We can see what happens, and maybe Billy goes, that kid's got the goods. Rightio. It's punting time. So I've got some anytime try scorers, one for each game this week, and then I'll start off with a multi actually with the NRL cards. Let's do that, and then I'll go through my 8 try scorers of the week as well. So we'll pull a few cards. When we got 3 we like, we'll keep them up. Yeah, okay. We got Jasmine Clydesdale from Newcastle, NRLW. Jarima Buller, I think it is. Yeah, sorry, pronunciation's not bad. I still need to work on that. West Tigers, Dylan Brown, Eels. Oh, Roger Jurusek and Stephen Crichton. So that's pack 1. Okay. Interesting. Let's go pack 2. Kalen Ponga. Hezi Apps. NRLW. West Tigers. Mitchell Moses. Parramatta. Matthew Burton. Bulldogs. Dylan Edwards. Penrith. So, I've got a list of my try scorers that I've got any time. I'm not going to double up, actually. I'm making this decision. I will not double up on players, if that makes sense. So if they're in my multi that I've already created for the 8 try scorers of the week, they won't be picked in my 3-leg try scorers. I'll try and spread it out a bit this week. Let's hopefully get a few that's not in the same game. I'm getting better at opening these guys. Payne Haas, Jaden Campbell, Regency, I think. McGregor, NRLW Dragons. Silver card of the Hammer. And Cameron Murray. Very interesting. Okay. Let's do one more pack just for gits and shiggles. Let's do one more pack. I'm liking the combinations we got here. Oh, boom! That's what we want. He's going straight in the multi. Hudson Young, Canberra Raiders. Scotty Drinkwater, Cowboys. Tiana Pentia, NRLW, Sharks. Oh, gold card. Jaruvajek. We've got him. We've had him pulled in multiple times. Now we got him in gold. And then we got regular card Hammer. Okay, let's do this, guys. Let's actually just quickly pull up the team list just to make sure I don't pick anyone that's not playing. Just in case. You never know. There can always be a slip up. Okay, yep. Number 1 on our try scorers, I'm going to have Hudson Young. I have much faith in that man. He is incredible. My second one, this is going to be interesting. Jaden Campbell. He's good. I think our big carrier in this multi that will be Hudson Young. He's been a try-scoring machine, especially for a forward. Like, for a forward on Sportsbet, you would be expecting, $4 a try at, like, the very minimum. Hudson Young has been so consistent in scoring tries. On the weekend, he was paying $2.60, which I believe I was told is ridiculous for a forward. And then, to finish it off, I'm going to pick another fullback in Kalen Ponga. He had a week off, so he's back now. And that's my multi from the card. So let me just write that down so I can post it in a second. We got Ponga. If my thing wants to go, we got Ponga, Campbell, and to finish it off, we've got Hudson Young. And then to finish it off for my 8 try scorers, game 1, I got Schiller. Game 2, I got Coates. Game 3, I've got the Hammer. Game 4, I've got Metcalf. That'll be a tricky one. Someone that's not really playing on outside back, so he's playing someone in the halves. Cobbo playing on the wing. Then I've got Cobbo. Cobbo playing on the wing will be super deadly. This one, I'm doing this for him. It's his weekend. It's his game. Josh Papali'i. He's going to go over in the record-breaking game. And then the last two games, I've got Dylan Edwards and Zach Lomax, just so consistent. So that's another week of podcast. That's another What's Not Sport. Tell me what you like. Do you want me to do an NRL podcast a week and do another one in addition of just like other sports that's going on and do a pure bred NRL one? Or not? Just let me know. I hope you enjoy this episode. If that's What's Not Sport, cheers. Here's to Josh Papali'i. Big Papa, up the milk.